Okay, so news is breaking today about apparently Adama Traore maybe leaving Wolves and joining Tottenham. Fabrizio Romano kind of broke it, and then some of the Wolves journalists kind of came out and quashed it a little bit, but kind of still said the interest was there. And I don't think this is that surprising. I'm seeing Wolves fans pretend to be really surprised. I think when the this Ask Wolves thing came out, what like in May now, I think they were kind of preparing for this. I think even like Tim Spears and a lot of the Wolves journalists have kind of been saying, look, one of either Adama Traore or even Ruben Neves will leave, and I think it's hard to take. Obviously, um, I I personally prefer watching Adama Traore, and I'd be gutted if we lost him. Um, but I don't think he's as important as some of our fans make out he is. I love Adama Traore. Generally, he was one of the only reasons I watched Wolves last season. Sometimes, like there were some games where I was just like, "Oh God, here we go again." But Adama made them watchable, and ultimately, we can't look as good as he is and as unique as he is. He's not irreplaceable. You know, Adamola Lookman's been linked recently. Goncalo Guedes has been linked, and this is when I started to think, okay, maybe Adama's kind of on the way out. And I think Wolves are looking at this in kind of the business way, which I know our fans hate, but I'd rather be run by businessmen than people that act off emotion. You know, Adama Traore's market value according to Transfermarkt is about 27 million, which I think is a bit high personally, but you know, whatever. And Wolves are looking at this and going, you know what, if we could get anywhere near 40 million for a guy who, let's be honest, it's limited. And it's not like he's like 21, 22. He's got a good amount of senior appearances now. He's nearly at 250. He's not developed in the way that I think a lot of our fans expected to. And that's okay. He's a perfectly competent Premier League player and he's good for the squad. But for me, watching the first few games under Bruno Lage, the Tottenham game and the Leicester game, by the way, subscribe to the channel. But after watching those first two games, I'm not. Obviously, Adam was great in both of them, albeit he missed an absolute sitter in both of them. But I don't think he's as important as some of our fans are making out. You know, I don't. I genuinely think if you stuck Adamola Lookman out on that left wing in place of Adama Traore and used that extra money to get a centre back and a central midfielder, we'd be in such a better position. You know, as good as Traore is, he is an amazing dribbler, of course he is. If he was a more rounded footballer, other things would open up, if you get what I mean. And look, I don't want Adama to leave, let me make that clear. I'd love Adama to stay. He's so fun to watch, and we will never get a player like Adama Traore again. But ultimately, Wolves fans have to accept the financial position we're in. And by the way, I don't actually think this will happen, by the way. This reminds me very much of what happened with Ruben Neves in Arsenal a few months back. I don't think this will happen. Tottenham don't even really need a winger anyway. They've got quite a lot. Harry Kane hasn't left yet. I don't think this is happening. But if it does, I think Wolves fans kind of just have to accept it and trust that the right signings will come in. There's still a week of the window. There's other good wingers that have been linked. And as good as Adama Traore is, we have to accept the fact that, you know, a few weeks ago, this is the same Adama Traore that when he was at the Euros was saying he wanted to go back to Barcelona. Like, Adama Traore has made it very clear he wants. He's an ambitious guy. Like, he did this at Middlesbrough, by the way. And obviously we didn't care because we were signing him at the time, but he made it pretty clear he wanted to leave Middlesbrough, and he left on, what, 2 or 3 days before deadline day. So it wouldn't surprise me if he left, but I think we have to accept the fact that Adama Traore might be going to better things, in his eyes anyway. And these contracts running down, and Wolves aren't stupid, they'll look at it as a depreciating asset. Plus, Adama Traore's market value is pretty high right now, like compared to what it was halfway through last season anyway. Adama Traore is such a player who fluctuates, and he's so unique that it might not be another chance to get 40 million for him. Like the only reason Tottenham are apparently offering 40 million pound for him is because Nuno wants him. Like I don't think Liverpool would pay that, or Man City, or Leeds, or any of the other clubs that have been linked. So this is kind of the way I think Jeff Shee's looking at this is a guy who's 2 years left on his contract, who doesn't want to sign a new one, clearly wants to leave. I think he'll still perform, but I think he does want to leave. And he's looking at it and going, you know what, this is a 40 million pounds that we'll probably never get again. I don't think there's another club in Europe that would pay 40 million pound for Adama Traore. And although it would hurt me if Adama Traore left, because look, someone that can complete that many dribbles and carries and that good in the air doesn't come along very often. I accept that. But ultimately, we are going to have to sell him at some point, and there's no point holding on to a depreciating asset, potentially, due to his contract and due to his inconsistent performances, for the sake of it, just because we like him. You know, we want our club to be run properly and to be kept financially stable. And ultimately, this is maybe what we have to do. And although I'd rather watch Adama Traore than Ruben Neves is more important to the system. And I think it's very easy to get a good winger. I don't think Adama Traore, his skill sets are replaceable, but to buy a different type of winger, I think that's very easy to do. Whereas I don't think it'd be very hard to go and get another Ruben Neves personally, especially for £30 million or whatever, with 2 days left of the window, or 4 or 5 days left of the window. That's just what I think about it. I don't want Traore to leave, but if the club make that decision and get a good amount of money, i.e. the £40 million that some of the other journalists are talking about, I'm okay with it. I'd be disappointed, but I'd be okay. Assuming, obviously, it gets reinvested into the squad and into a direct replacement. That's just how I feel. If you enjoyed the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, peace.